There's a reason why the sport is so difficult, and it's all about obviously how you respond to that. And sometimes it might take a little bit longer to respond to it, but it seems like even though you had that disappointment your senior year, didn't end up going to states, and maybe didn't have a typical path to college wrestling, but you did end up doing it, and you end up getting the opportunity to wrestle at Cornerstone, and it's just not your typical path. But talk about how the opportunity kind of came to be, like how you end up deciding to wrestle after wrestling was done, how you end up even at Cornerstone when maybe probably for a time period there it didn't seem like wrestling was in your future.
So I think this is funny, and some people don't believe me when I say it, but it's true. I live right by Forest Hills Northern and Cornerstone. So I grew up in the area, and I never really realized that Cornerstone was so close. Like in high school, my senior year, we wrestled team conference at Cornerstone, and I went 1-1 that day. But I never really thought of it like I didn't know they had a program first off, but I didn't really even think about it for a school. I originally wasn't going to go to college because obviously I didn't have any offers, and school was always difficult for me. I tried my best, I gave it my all, but I always struggled, and I do in college too. Um, but never really like was that kind of person that like, hey, let's do 4 more years of like school, which you already know you struggle in. And um, so yeah, I didn't go to college. After the wrestling season was over, I ended up playing rugby, which was just it was honestly just for the fun of it. And after that season was over, I really just started helping out Coach Bucks in the room. We would do summer stuff, run some summer camps. We do open mat, which I think is amazing. You don't have to pay for anything. It's anybody in the area. So we'll have people from Rockford, Lowell, all over. I mean, even people from like 2 hours away. They'll come just because it's free. And you just get in, you get a good workout in. You're actually wrestling. You do some conditioning. And coach always has something fun for us, whether it's dodgeball or something. And I would always help out with that. Like I wanted to continue wrestling, and I got involved as much as I possibly could. After graduating high school, I started working full time, and Coach Bucks kind of had me come along for some tournaments. I coached every day in the room for the most part, trying to just help out. Obviously, Caleb Fish, he was a senior, so it was fun to wrestle him, but also just like to help out because we did have a lot of incoming freshmen that year, and I spent a lot of time outside of like open mat and even outside of their season, because I coached and went to tournaments and all throughout their season too. And I would like Wednesdays I would get out of work a little earlier, and I would work with like a couple of freshmen at the time, and we would just roll around, work on some technique. And it's kind of what I still do now when I have time. Like if Coach Chris, who is my college coach, if he like says, hey, we had a good tournament, it's a Monday practice, you guys take the day off. I wouldn't necessarily take that day off. I was always up at Northern and working with them. It would be a lighter workout, obviously. If Coach Chris is giving us the day off, I'm going to use it to my advantage. And but I still wanted to get a workout in, so I would do live. But when it came to technique, I would just kind of walk around, help out, demonstrate a couple of moves. But it was really just kind of a weird period in my life. Not outside of wrestling, just kind of figuring out what I want to do in life, but also like, what do I do now that like, hey, my wrestling career is over and it's kind of settling in now. But I remember one night after work, I never checked my email. That's one thing about me, and I'm still terrible about it. But I checked my email one night, and it was around 11 o'clock. It was the weirdest time to check your email, but I got a email from Chris Williamson, head coach at Cornerstone, and he introduced himself. Hey, we have a program that's growing at Cornerstone, and I'd love if you could come by for a practice. And now this was like, it was first semester of college, but it was like halfway through. So like their season already began. School's already started. I can't commit. I can't even go to school, and I'm not going to come second semester. I don't want to start that off because then graduation 4 years later will be off. It's a whole thing, and I wasn't 100% set on even going to that practice. I was like, this has to be a joke. This has to be like, where'd he even find me? Like I know I was good in high school, but I wasn't no like, every year Georgia's placing fourth or placing third at state. I wasn't that type of wrestler. Um, but he saw me on a long list of guys, and I came to the first practice. I'll never forget it. You walk into that building, and it's a different environment. Cornerstone's a different environment, and everyone is smiles. And I honestly didn't think it was real at first. I come from a Northern, which is like you mess up on the mat and you're the whole team is dogging you on it, right? And it's all fun. It's all all of my high school teammates, they're amazing, and I still keep in touch with most of them. And but it was just a different environment. I'm like, this is awesome, and immediately everyone comes up to you and like wants to get to know you. Where are you from? What weight you wrestle? How old are you? Like all the questions. And went to practice after work almost every single day when I could. I ended up to stop coaching because I was going to Northern for practice every day. I ended up stop going there and just going for like the weekend tournaments to help out their JV team. And stay kind of connected to Northern. But I went to practice at Cornerstone every single day until their end of their season. My last practice was right before they went to nationals, and actually the first time that Trevor Marsman placed at nationals and the first national placer that Cornerstone's ever had. So it was a great experience and new environment, but it really I would say probably after 2 weeks of going, I was like, it just feels right. This is home. And it was like I fit in, and the coaching staff was amazing. I mean, we have an amazing coaching staff. And it was really like, wow, this is a family. It's not a team. This isn't like a, hey, coach-player relationship. We're all a family here. If you got something going on, coach will listen to you. He will tell you his advice, and he'll help you out the best you can. And you got teammates right there with you that are like, hey, how can I help you out? What can we do? Right? Everyone there are the nicest, and they're all really great. Now that I'm part of the team, I have met some amazing men. And it just, I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of it during my gap year. I couldn't. I wanted to do everything. I went to their home duels. I probably irritated Coach Chris. Honestly, I probably irritated him because I was always in the room, whether we had practice or not, or if they were away at a tournament. I was in the room. Coach kind of gave me that access, and I was in the room working out. And I couldn't. Like I said, I couldn't get enough of it. And once I had the chance to commit, I committed. And yeah, it changed my life for, I'm not going to say the good, but it definitely put my life at a whole nother direction than just working in a warehouse full time. So glad I did it.
Exactly, and some people might be listening to your story and they might say, no way that's true. Like, no way the whole thing is true. But it almost kind of seems like a situation. I know that Cornerstone is a Christian college. I know that faith is extremely important to you. But it almost seemed like a situation that like it was meant to be, and you just didn't know it. And like for one random time, let me just check my email, and there's just there, and then that leads to another opportunity, that leads to another opportunity. Like, you find a family, you find a team, you find a situation that made you feel like you belonged. And while it's not the typical story, it's kind of like it was meant to be. It just took a little bit longer than you thought it might take.
Yeah, I mean, especially like just the jump from like high school and like relationship wise, the jump from high school to college. Obviously, in college, you know, you can have people going for their fifth or sixth year. You can have married. I mean, currently we have a couple people that are married. They have families or they're engaged. You know, it's a different environment when you're freshly 18 out of high school and you're coming in there and you're like, whoa, hi guys. But I mean, the best thing that really caught my eye was the coaching staff. You know, I have a great relationship with my high school coach, Coach Bucks, and I still keep in contact with him. And in high school, you know, he was a big mentor of mine, and obviously he still is. And that's what I was really looking for. If I ever went to college for a sport in general, I I wanted that connection because I mean it makes you want to be around the team more and around the sport more, but also like it's a sense of family. It's a sense of like, you know what, this is where I belong. And I felt that coming into Cornerstone.